Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Abu Islami, and I'm from System Formation 45 International class. And today I'm going to talk about conflict. So first is the introduction, the background, why I'm doing this paper. So first is about conflict. It's an interaction that happens with individual or group who have very different concepts, plans, and life goals. This variation can build violence and psychological disorders. The conflict conjointly defined as a conflict dangerous behavior, disputations, and conflict with others. A conflict happens once another party rejects a claim or one party makes a statement. So the example of conflict is uh, a class is going to have a field trip this year, so they decided over the place that they want to visit. Then after that, they're debating over where to go on field trip. Some students want to go to the area A, and some students want to go to area B. Disagreements make a conflict between them about the field trip. And after that, we're gonna talk about the definition of conflict. The definition of conflict is a clash between individuals or group that arising out of difference in type of process, attitude, understanding, interest, requirement, and even sometimes perceptions. A conflict results in heated argument, physical abuse, and definite loss of peace and harmony. A conflict can actually change relationship. A conflict can not only can arise with individual or group, but also among countries, political parties, and states as well. A small conflict are not controlled at the correct time may lead to a large war and rift among countries, leading to a major unrest and disharmony. And next, we're gonna talk about the type of conflict. So first is the structural conflicts. Social conflicts happens because of something the participant can control. An example is spouse who work different shifts and therefore don't see each other very often. This can lead to tension and ultimately conflict. After that is a values conflict. Sometimes people will have a conflict because they have a fundamental disagreement on fundamental values. For example, some people may have value hard work above all else, or another person thinks it's wrong to waste your life on back-breaking labor. Next is resources conflicts. This is when two people or group fight because they both want something, but there aren't enough resources for both of them to satisfy their desires. The classic example is when people fight over money or war for sources. And then is ego conflicts. Sometimes people come into conflict because they are jockeying for positions or they want a positions. When you have two people who believe they shall be in charge, conflict can easily erupt. A classic example would be the parent fighting with a rebellious teen. The teens feel more that they can charge with themselves and don't want to listen in to their parents. Next is personal history conflict. Sometimes misdeeds between two individuals can build up over time and people eventually become bitter. These pent-up feelings can erupt and lead to conflict. An example would be a couple who constantly fight over his history of infidelity. The next is personal conflicts. There are cases when two people have totally incompatible personalities. This can be helped, and they will find each other difficult to tolerate. This kind of incompatibilities can lead to conflict, especially if the people are forced to spend a lot of time together. For example, if you have one person who loves to talk, another who hates to talking will their work. And the last one is the conflict of facts. People often have conflict because they have a different interpretation of the fact in a situation. An example would be the two religious leaders with different interpretation of a sacred text. This is common and a lot happen in our country. And next up is the path of contact. The first, prelude to conflict. Preludes to conflicts involve all factors which possibly arise a conflict among individuals: lack of coordination, difference in interest, dissimilarity in culture, religion, educational background, and all instrument in arousing a conflict. And next is the triggering event. The conflict can arise on its own. There has to be even which triggered that conflict. Jenny and Ali, for example, never got along very well with each other. They went from different cultural background, a very strong factor for possibility of conflict. Ali was the mid of a presentation when Jenny stood up and criticized him for the lack of relevant content in his presentation, thus triggering the conflict between them. That is an example of that. And that is initiation phase. Initiation phase is when the conflict has already begun. Heated argument, abuses, verbal disagreement, batching, negative thing, and other warning alarms which indicate the fight is already on. And then there's about the differentiation phase. It is the phase when the individual was out there difference against each other. The reason for the conflicts arises in the differentiation phase. And next is, and the last one, is the resolution phase. In this phase, conflicts that lead to nowhere, individuals must try to compromise to some extent and resolve the conflict soon. The resolution phase explores the various options to resolve the conflict. And next is about the conflict management styles. Conflict management is the practice of being able to identify and handle conflict sensibly, fairly, and efficiently. It's the process of dealing with perceived incompatibility or disagreements arising from, for example, diverging opinions, objectives, and needs. So, what are the common conflict management styles? First is collaborating. This conflict management style produces the best long-term results, but is frequently most difficult and time-consuming to achieve. They need and desire of each party are considered, and a win-win solution is found so that everyone is justified. Next is competing. The competing conflicts management style reject compromise and does not give in the opinion of desire of others. One party is adamant about how they believe the situation shall be handled and will not back down until they get their way. So this is one group or one individual solutions. And next is avoiding. This conflict management style seeks to reduce conflict by ignoring it, removing it, the conflict parties, or evading in some way. Team members who are in disagreement can be removed, and individuals or group doing that too. And next is accommodating. The accommodating conflict management style is all about putting the needs of the other party ahead of one down. You let them win and have their way. A combination is used to don't care as much about the issue of other person. If prolonging the conflict isn't worth your time or you believe it's wrong. And then is compromising. This conflict management style seeks some middle ground by asking both parties to give up some aspect of their desire in order to reach agreement. This style is sometimes referred to as lose-lose because both parties will have to give up few things in order to reach an agreement on a larger issue. And that's I come with the conclusion and suggestion for this. For the conclusion is, from the explanation given, the following conclusion can be drawn. Conflict is a consequent social process between an individual and a group difference in goals, opinion, misunderstandings that both parties have. Conflict can occur if two parties that have the same goal but achieve it in different ways, or they have different methods. What is cause of the conflicts? Conflicts can have both positive and negative effects. If a conflict produces a good result, then the conflict has produced positive result. For example, including improving workplace performance and maintaining close relationship between the individual or the group, and development for the better ideas. Future conflict is another name and is a result, and if the dispute puts pressure, you can say the conflict has a negative effect. Conflicts can make anxiety and reduce work efficiency between individuals. It is one example of the negative effects. You can see a result as a conflict dispute. There are 5 steps to configure the process of creating conflict. In short, potential resistance or incompatibility, cognition and personalization, intent, behavior, and the final stage. And in this final stage, there are several other approaches to dispute resolution, include compromise, negotiation, mediation, interrogation, and arbitration. The approach of the choice, the method of resolving conflicts can be adjusted according to the type of conflict that is occurring. Resolve a conflict has our benefit that can help to change what another party. And for the suggestion is, I think we have to be more open about conflict that happen around us. It may not be easy, but every problems need to be solved. People have to put their max effort for this. Resolving conflict is a must because it helps people or both parties to grow, and it must be handled carefully so there is no more conflict between. There are many ways to resolve conflict. We just need to learn and be more adaptive to our surroundings and be kinder to ourselves and others so the conflict will not be a repeatable cycle. Uh, maybe just that I can tell to you today. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.